Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the preview for the 2021 Dutch Grand Prix. Now, last time out, F1 was at the legendary Spa circuit, but now for the first time since 1985, it is on to the Netherlands and Zandvoort for a race weekend that will hopefully actually end with a race through the sand dunes of the famous circuit. Although, obviously not actually on the sand, of course, as mad as that would be. I'm really looking forward to this one, not going to lie, for a couple of reasons. First of all, because of what happened in Belgium, we haven't seen a race since Hungary 5 weeks ago. So I am absolutely desperate for some F1 race action. But also, I am massively intrigued to see how these cars get on around Zandvoort. Even if overtaking is tough, more on that shortly, the cars should at least look great around the tight and twisty track. Fingers crossed for a good weekend this time. But anyway, let's kick things off by having a look at the usual round of track stats. A lap of the circuit Zandvoort runs for 4.259 kilometres, and if you work in miles, that's 2.646, and consists of 14 corners, that is 10 to the right and 4 to the left. And come Sunday, we should hopefully, please, for the love of God, see 72 racing laps. Overtaking, though, is expected to be tough at Zandvoort, so the FIA has squeezed in 2 DRS zones for this weekend. The first will run between turns 10 and 11 with the detection point just before turn 10, and the second will run down the start-finish straight just after turn 14, so it will not be available through that banked final corner, and the detection point for that one, by the way, will be right before turn 13. However, the straights are fairly short around Zandvoort, so it shouldn't be overly powerful. In Aston Martin's press release, they note that turns 1 and 11, both of those, of course, are at the end of those DRS zones, are possibly the best spots to make a move. It also adds interesting line that the bank corners at 3 and 14 could allow drivers to take different racing lines to help set up an overtake. But again, the general feeling seems to be that it will be tough to overtake. And just for the record, because why not, there is no F1 race lap record right now, although in 2020 on the current layout, a Williams FW07C set a 131.977 during the FIA Masters Historic F1 Championship race, and that is listed on the circuit's website as the overall lap record. Max Verstappen, though, apparently set the fastest ever lap in 2017 in an RB8, and that was a 119.511 during a demonstration run. Although perhaps we can expect to see a good 10 seconds plus somewhere around there shaved off that this weekend if it stays dry. And the results from the last time F1 race at Zandvoort is full of legendary names. Nelson Piquet bagged pole position by setting a 111.074, but it was Niki Lauda who took the win, leading home McLaren teammate Alain Prost by just over 0.2 of a second, with Ayrton Senna 48 seconds back in his Lotus in third. I mean, what a podium that was. Some incredible names there. And it was, by the way, Alain Prost who set the fastest lap of the race with a time of 1:16.538. I suspect that may be beaten this weekend, though. Back to 2021, though, and the tyres available for the event are the hardest in the Pirelli range, and they are the hard C1, the medium C2, and the soft C3. Now, the decision to go with the hardest compounds in the range might appear overly conservative, but Pirelli always tends to err on the side of caution when it comes to a, let's say, new track. But also, and I guess more importantly, there is now that 19-degree banking at turns 3 and 14, which according to the manufacturer's release is roughly double the banking at Indianapolis. And at turn 14, that will generate, when taken flat out, forces in excess of 4G. So basically, that banking as well as the layout likely putting heavy demand on the tyres is why the hardest tyres have been picked. I'm not sure on strategy, if I'm being honest, because we have no precedent for it, but it's almost obvious at this point that teams will always try to make a one-stopper work, if nothing else to avoid too many trips through the pits, especially at a circuit like Zandvoort, where track position is going to be so important. But obviously for the teams, it's about weighing up whether or not it's worth changing tyres. Will they be quicker on newer tyres than they are on older tyres, for example? And if they are quicker, can they get the move done with the track being so tight? And if we end up with a safety car, it might be worth making an extra stop, but we will see, of course. The good news is, if you enjoy your practice, there should be plenty of running during practice, and it will be interesting to see what Pirelli and the teams predict when it comes to strategy after FP3 is over. Weather-wise, well, for once, not gonna lie, I'm hoping it stays completely dry, and the forecast at time of recording seems to be leaning that way. Friday should stay dry with highs of 19 degrees, and the chance of rain for FP1 and FP2 currently sits at under 10%. Saturday is pretty much the same, to be fair, but when it comes to Sunday, it is forecast to get a little bit warmer with highs of 23 degrees, but the chance of rain, depending where you look, is really low at between 2% and 7%, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of other apps out there that predict 100% chance of rain, but I've not found those ones myself. Obviously, though, there is plenty of time for all that to change between now, which is, by the way, Wednesday evening as I record this, and lights out on Sunday. So keep an eye on the forecast. Hopefully, though, whatever happens, we get a race. I know I've said that 3 times, but I'm desperate for a race. It's as simple as that. And your schedule for the weekend is the same as the majority of European races. So FP1 starts at 10:30 a.m. BST on Friday, with FP2 underway at the usual time of 2 p.m. later that day. FP3 starts at 11 a.m. on Saturday with qualifying from 2 p.m. and on Sunday, it is lights out on the hour at 2 p.m. Before I get on to my predictions and run through the championship standings ahead of the weekend, let's have a look at some fast facts courtesy of Lights Out blog. There have been a total of 30 F1 World Championship races at Zandvoort since it made its debut on the calendar in 1952, although the sport did race there in 1950 and 1951, but they were not World Championship events. In that time, there have been 19 different winners, the first being Alberto Ascari and the most recent Niki Lauda. 49 different drivers have stood on the podium at the track, with Jim Clark and Niki Lauda sharing the record for the most with 6 each. 5 F1 races at Zandvoort have been affected by rain, but there has never been a red flag shown at a Dutch Grand Prix. And so far in F1's history, there have been a grand total of 2,371 racing laps completed at the track. And again, let's hope that number increases by 72 on Sunday. Anyway, Sean, get over it, move on. Now, usually at this stage, I would run through some driver form, but that's sort of pointless given that we haven't had a race at Zandvoort in F1 since 1985. However, that doesn't mean the drivers have never raced at the track. In fact, out of the 20 drivers currently in F1, only Fernando Alonso, Kimi Raikkonen, Yuki Tsunoda and Pierre Gasly have yet to race at Zandvoort for real, although Gasly did drive at the track at an event in 2019, and I believe Fernando Alonso took part in some virtual racing there in 2020 as well, but for real, they haven't raced there. A number of the drivers, including Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Sebastian Vettel and Valtteri Bottas, took part in the Masters of F3 race, with Bottas actually becoming the first driver to win the event twice, taking back-to-back victories in 2009 and 2010. Others, including Lando Norris, Lance Stroll, Charles Leclerc and Mick Schumacher raced at the track in Euro F3, and Esteban Ocon raced at Zandvoort in DTM back in 2016. And just to be clear, this is not an exhaustive list, and as I say, much of the current grid has racing experience around the circuit. Right then, time for some predictions, and as ever, if you disagree with my picks, which you probably will, and to be honest, probably should, then you can let me know your predictions in the comments section down below. Now, quite frankly, I have no idea. There is no historical data to go off, so all I can do is base these on the here and the now. It is a track, though, that many think should suit Red Bull. However, Mercedes has said that between Monza and Zandvoort, their car should be more suited to Zandvoort, which means we could be in for a super close weekend, which is absolutely fine by me, by the way. That said, I do fancy Red Bull to just be on top, so I'm going to go all in on Verstappen, with the Dutchman taking pole and the race win, but it will be close, and I'm even going to go as far as to say that he takes pole by less than a tenth and wins by less than 5 seconds, because maybe, that spices them up a little bit. I don't know. Hamilton for P2 with Bottas taking P3. And the reason I'm saying Bottas over Perez, by the way, is that Checo has had his struggles on a Saturday, and on a circuit where track position could be vital, that could make Sunday a little bit tricky for him. Then again, if he makes the top 4 in quali and Red Bull nail the strategy with an undercut or something like that, he could actually very easily nick it. So actually no, for that reason, I'm going to stick Perez P3. Why not? He could do with a good result as well. I reckon best of the rest for this weekend, it's going to go to McLaren, again with an outside shot of a podium for Lando Norris if there is some drama ahead. Although based on McLaren's performances and Lando Norris's performance lately, he may not need drama. He could be fighting for a top 3 spot legitimately on pace, we'll see. But I'm sure Ferrari will be in the mix as well, probably as the 4th fastest of the weekend. My one to watch is going to have to be George Russell, simply because it'll be fascinating to see if he can challenge for points again this weekend, and it would be nice to see him do it without needing to rely on rain or complete madness ahead of him. And my somewhat, I guess you could say, bolder prediction, for no real reason other than to try and make these a tad more interesting, and to make myself look even more stupid when they're completely wrong, is that Kimi Raikkonen will take a top 8 finish on Sunday. That doesn't sound all that much exciting, but given where that Alpha seems to be, that would be a very good result for them. Before I go, I do just want to confirm the championship standings because things were a little bit all over the place following the Belgian Grand Prix weekend. So half points were awarded following whatever that was on Sunday. I mean, officially it goes down as a race, but let's be honest, it clearly wasn't a race. But anyway, those half points mean that Lewis Hamilton's championship lead has been cut to just 3 points. Lando Norris is still up there in third place on 113 points with Valtteri Bottas in fourth on 108. Sergio Perez is fifth on 104 with Carlos Sainz on 83.5. Charles Leclerc 7th on 82, Daniel Ricciardo 8th on 56, 9th is Pierre Gasly on 54, and it's Esteban Ocon rounding out the top 10 on 42 points. And in the Constructors' Championship, Mercedes are top 310.5 points with Red Bull in second on 303.5. McLaren are back up to third on 169 points with Ferrari in fourth on 165.5. Alpine are in fifth place with AlphaTauri in sixth, 80 points for Alpine and 72 for AlphaTauri. Aston Martin, 7th on 53 points. Williams, 8th on 20 points. Didn't have them down for that at the start of the season. Alfa Romeo, 9th on 3 points, and Haas are yet to score. That is it, though, for the Dutch Grand Prix preview, but once again, you can let me know your thoughts ahead of the weekend and your predictions in the comment section down below. So, as always, who are you backing for pole? Who do you think will take the win? What is your top 3? And also, have you got any bold predictions to share? That's a lot of questions for you. Now, I will be back soon with some more content, as always, and we will once again be live following Sunday's race for some immediate race reaction. In the meantime, though, if you did enjoy this one, then please do leave a like to help appease those YouTube algorithm gods, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future uploads or streams. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.